Another disappointing day, isn't it, boys? One after another, yeah, we're just trying to trickle over the line now, I think, and we're not looking forward to getting anything. Obviously, maybe the FA Cup. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, Darragh, I think this is the first show we've been on together. I hope you're well, buddy. I know I've talked to you a lot. You're on mute, but I'll take you off now.
Oh,
And yeah, of course, I'm joined by Stu and Freddie. It's been a long time since I've seen you two. Always
Yes.
appreciative, of course. Right, where do we start? Stu, I'll come to you first.
Difficult one. Do you know, I'm not often lost for words when it comes to football. There's always something you can take out of a game. There's some positives, negatives. You can always talk about a variety of different things. I'm finding today a bit strange. The whole atmosphere was a bit strange. The whole way that
Yes,
we
yeah.
played, I felt was a bit strange. We knew that Burnley needed a point to kind of stay in the Premier League, didn't they? I think if they'd lost, then potentially that was it for them if results had gone against them. And I just, I worry about the mentality of our players. I don't necessarily worry about the
Mm.
mentality of the gaffer, but I worry about the mentality of the players, and I worry about the way that they themselves individually are preparing for matches and what they're trying to get out of matches. I just, it's got to a stage where I'm a kind of, as I said before, a bit of a loss for words.
Yep.
I can't see any real pattern as to why we can't seem to turn it on this season. And the chances that we have, people are going on about, oh, the penalty wasn't a penalty; it was a fucking Stonewall penalty.
mm.
Oh,
I think
see, I'm not so sure I agree with that, Stu. I
no,
feel
but
like he,
unfortunately,
he had his.
I
Which
know
one?
what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're going to say, but the problem is, rather like the Wolves match.
Are you talking about Anana? Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
talking about
sorry.
the
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
the
talking.
yeah.
other end.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
talking about
okay.
Nana.
It was a Stonewall. It was a
Yeah,
Stonewall.
and the attacker did everything he was supposed to do. Well, just turn to the side, bang, you're gonna get it. And it's just one of those. It's just one of those things that we've had a couple of penalties that should have gone our way, but you really in football, the last thing you want to do is rely on penalties, rely on your goalkeeper to
Yep.
save a penalty, rely
Yep.
on your strikers to score a penalty. We woke up too late as per usual in the game, and so. I think he's in real trouble now, Ten Hag. I don't, I still would stand by him. I still think that he should remain next season with some kind of structure. um, but like I say, I'm at a loss to really know what to say. I think we've been over this so many times this season. We've spoken
Yeah.
about so many different variables this season, and today's no different. So yeah, I'm kind of vanilla about the performance today, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it was very poor. We seemed to start off well, quite high press, good between the lines, good in transition. Then we fall apart again. That seems to be the way it is. You see sort of 10 poor minutes to begin with. We then pick it up and start to do well, and they've been our best games. But whenever we start good, never leads me on to thinking we're going to get anything out of it. Craig David, thanks for joining me in the bottom right hand corner. Um, Good
Yeah,
to see
great.
you again, my man, Freddie. Always a pleasure, as I said. I hope you're well. I had to carry the joke on, guys. Just wanted to say before I come over to you, Freddie, loads of you in the comments. Really appreciate that. Get liking, get subscribing, get your comments in as well. Tell us how you feel. Ask the boys some questions. Freddie, over to you, my man.
It's just not really a surprise anymore. I'm just completely numb to this season. I think everyone's just limping to the end of the season to see what's going on with the direction of the club, and it's just showing in performances. I think you can sense it in the crowds. There's, second half there was just no real atmosphere, and it's a consequence of the players on the pitch, unfortunately. Not picking up 6 points from Burnley and Sheffield. I mean, we got the 3 points of Sheffield, but 6 points in those two games at home is just not good enough. And
Mm.
there was nothing on, no one on the pitch today sort of showed that we deserved to win, and it was just an awful game. It felt like a Sunday league game. It was end to end. Both teams had no quality in the final third, and once again, we lost the game due to an error, and it was a calamity of errors all around. So
it was, yeah.
I've just sort of come to expect it from now from these players. I do too have. I'm a bit torn with the manager. I do have sympathy with him. I do think there's a few questionable decisions in there, but my overall feeling is, stick with him. And then it's just these players. These players are just simply not good enough. The likes of Casemiro, what's he doing at the end to put Onana in the position? I mean, it was an awful decision, awful punch. I mean, Wan-Bissaka's got the header there, but why is he heading it back into the mixer? It's just so unnecessary. And
to be honest, Freddie, I don't want to cut across here, pal, but this is my irritation right now with fans calling for Ten Hag's removal. Is that what you just spoke about is not an isolated fucking incident, about Casemiro heading into. Was he gone back? You're absolutely right. Was he trying to cushion a header back into the mixer? And it's got to a stage where these players will get off again. They'll get off lightly yet again if we sack yet another manager for absolute incompetence.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an isolated incident, is it, Freddie? What you're talking about there? It's just 2 or 3 times a fucking game. And this is my issue. Why I feel, and I know, I get what you're saying about being on the fence with Ten Hag, because sometimes his in-game management is really bad, isn't it? It's not been great. But if we switch
either
again,
really, really good or really, really poor. There's no in between, is there? There's not the usual good things that happen. The kind of the substitutions you expect. It's either 2 ends of the scale.
To be honest, look, I mean, most of the criticism now is, okay, he's taken Højlund off. We've not won the game. If you think about it, I mean, he's kept, the natural decision would have been Ahmad for Anthony. If that mistake didn't happen at the end, Anthony gets the winner. Ahmad's on the pitch as well. He looks like a genius. So you can't legislate for these individual errors. And exactly, you're right, Stu. It's happened. How many games have we seen this in succession leading up to this? How many penalties as well? It's just not good enough. So I just hope we have a really radical clear out this summer, because it's needed. We can't afford for a 4 out, 4 in. We just need a complete turnover and a complete restart.
Yeah,
massively.
Yeah, and I feel like we've been saying this for a long time now. And where do you start? So much needs to be done, and yeah, it's a really good point, Freddie. Actually, Stu says it a lot. You cross the white line. It's on the players, and there's lots of errors going on in and around the pitch, and that's not Ten Hag's fault. And this is where I've said before. I think a lot of us, including myself, you can be angry at the time, emotional. You can be reactionary, and I get that. So of course, when it doesn't work out away, we're frustrated, and we can easily put it on Ten Hag because he's the fall guy. But as you say, if Anthony scored the winner, we didn't make the mistake, he'd be called a genius today, right? So it's fine margins every time, fine margins. Sean in the comments here, loads of you as well, loads of comments coming in, so keep them coming. Evening, gents. I can see the headlines now, untenable. Have been his biggest advocate, as have I, as Stu, as Freddie, as Darragh. We've all been a massive advocate for Ten Hag. But as we've all said already, he doesn't really help himself sometimes, and it is hard to defend it. Every time Anthony is on for a bit of positivity gets done, poor fella. Yeah, he's probably one of our better players today, actually. Really was quite threatening, got the goal, obviously, and really looked like a changed player. Anyway, Darragh, sorry.
No, because I was going to actually take on that point about Anthony there, because even in the build-up to the goal, he takes on the fact that he saw the error being made. He went straight forward. Any other player would have just gone down, got the free. He pushed on through it, so to try and give him abuse, fair enough. If he deserves the abuse and criticism, give it to him. But today he put in a shift. He got us the goal that eventually we don't know, with or without the goal, whether it would have been a win, draw, loss. But at the end of the day, it was you can't really fault Anthony for today. You just made the point there, Mark. He was one of our better players today. Him and Bruno, being honest, would probably be the 2 stand-up players today, if I'm honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Bruno's been solid only last couple of games.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
For a while now. He's really sort of coming to his own, isn't he? Yeah. As Julio says here, it's a shame that you won't be adding to your lineup.
I'll still get
Brian
up
Miles
to It's
next
fine.
season.
It's fine.
Okay, he might do. Yeah,
I
on Bruno
think
Fernandes.
I think you should show the Darragh choke. That might cheer everybody up.
Oh
Yeah,
no!
Get the
We'll do it in a minute when he does choke. All right.
Get the Darragh choke up.
I don't drink with me, so
it's inevitable.
He hasn't had a drink on stream since.
Yeah. Wow. There you go.
I had enough of them last night.
Oh, Christ. I wanted to come to a comment here. I do have a couple of things on Bruno Fernandes, actually, and the improvement from him, at least. And it's quite sensational, really. And I think it goes to show that our finishing hasn't been up to scratch as well. So I assume this is key in the comments. This is on the manager keeping Eriksen on the pitch and taking off Mainu. What the hell is he doing? This for me was a big problem. He's done this a lot with Mainu. I know he's 18. I know he's probably a bit leggy at times, but he just looks so comfortable on the ball and actually makes something of something. And I'm just surprised he took him off. What did he take off? He brought off Højlund for Ahmad. In fact, they were talking about this, the commentary, and then 2 seconds later, Bruno plays in a cross. Højlund would have been on the end of that. It was too high for whoever it was in there, and that was frustrating for me. And who did he bring off? Mainu for who did he bring?
McTominay, and then McTominay went off for the injury.
Oh wow! Again, fine margins. You would never have guessed that. Do you know what I mean? And unfortunate, but bringing Mainu off, I just think it completely ruins our midfield at the moment. We've got nothing otherwise. Anyway, Stu, substitutions. What do you think?
Yeah, I've always said this. Substitute. People always say, and I love the fans, and I love opinions, and people say, "Oh, absolute masterstroke without substitution." I always look and think, why is it fucking masterstroke? I never get it. It never makes any sense to me. And there's two issues with being a sub. A lot of subs are never warmed up quite well enough for a start. Secondly, it actually depends what type of game you're coming into. And there are occasions where a substitute, if he's done touch the ball within 5 minutes, will have zero impact on a game of football. Because some players need 10, 15 minutes to get into the swing of things. Mason Mount came on with 6 minutes to go, injury time, or wherever it was. 5 minutes.
You kind of do that a little bit earlier on, really.
You can't do that, because what impact are you supposed to have? And then what will happen is, Ahmad comes on for Højlund and he trots into the box. We get a corner and his first header, bang, bottom corner. He turns around. What a masterstroke that was! Fuck off! All that's happened, players just come on. The ball's gone in.
You really feel, Stu.
Yeah, and so that's the problem with substitutions. What I don't think he is doing of late, and I do honestly believe this, I don't think he's making the right choices. Mainu in particular, you're absolutely right. Unless there's something we don't know about Mainu and his durability at this part of the season, he might have a durability issue, and he's coming on at half time saying, "Gaffer, I'm knackered." I don't know. Højlund's always an interesting one, isn't he? Højlund always seems to get hooked in about 60, 70 minutes. It's half time today, but usually about 60, 70 minutes. But he's never had that service to be able to go to Ten Hag and say, "Don't hook me, because I am going to be in there." And your case in point, Mark, was Højlund would have been there, if he'd been on the pitch. So I think he's also got issues with our bench. Look at our bench.
We've been saying this for years. You look at our bench, even in comparison to Arsenal, to Liverpool. I mean, City's just another kettle of fish. Everyone's amazing, right?
Yeah.
You just wouldn't want to bring any players on. And to be honest, I didn't necessarily agree with his comments the other day. He said something like, "I haven't had my best team for a long time," or "I don't even have the best." And I don't blame him, really. Probably not the right thing to say, but I absolutely see where he's coming from.
Well, when Fergie used to be able to look around, Dwight York would be on the bench, Andy Cole be on the bench, Teddy Sheringham be on the bench, Ollie Solskjaer be on the bench, Paul Ince was on the bench at times, Stevie Bruce, whoever. You look around and you think, yeah, okay, excellent. I've got a game changer in there somewhere. We just don't have that at the moment. Our squad has been left to deteriorate over this 10-year period. And I go back to saying, again, when I rudely interrupted Freddie, which I do apologise about, it isn't all about Ten Hag. You know, you're letting these players get off. Mark, you said that 3 years ago, pal. I was on the stream with you. You said the exact same words. Why are you letting these players off again? Why are we allowing these players to get away with it constantly, week in, week out, week in? So at some time, Ineos has got to turn around and say, you know what? If you don't like Ten Hag, tough. We don't care. He's our man for the next 3 years, and we've got to be bold and brave. And and you lot, you're off, etc., etc. We've got to do something to stop this player rot that we're doing. How we do it, Mark, I don't know, but subs, yeah, it's always one of those for me, pal. I mean, I've come off the bench plenty of times and been absolutely useless. And on the, on 1% of the time, I've popped a winning goal in. It's just one of those, pal. It really is.
Yes, I think it's really highlighted by our transfer windows. To be honest, our squad's paper thin. We don't have a solid bench, and that's because we've always gone for the kind of big money signing that's going to sell shirts fundamentally. Do you know what I mean? I think if we start to take the right approach with the right people, hopefully we'll see that going forward in the summer. We'll probably be able to get 6 or 7 players, some that we have no clue about, that are going to fit into the team great. We see their ability, and then all of a sudden you've got a bench that you're going to enjoy, and you've got players you can bring on to actually change games. That's how we need to do it. Right, I'm going to come to a little bit of positivity if I can. We talked about Bruno Fernandes. Freddie, I want to get your opinion on him. So chances created in his last 3 games, 9 today, 9 against Sheffield United and 9 against Coventry. That's some doing, isn't it? But I think that really highlights just how poor we have been putting away those goals.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's sort of carrying us a little bit at the minute. I mean, with his goals recently, it's kind of inexcusable that players around him aren't performing as well, and it's quite surprising as well. Usually, a player in that ilk does bring the best out of players around them, but I don't think the players around him are good enough. I feel he's sort of returned to his role like when we signed him. He's playing a lot further up the pitch as opposed to dropping deeper. You could argue that's a bit problematic systematically, but I think he just has to, because there's no goals throughout the squad. He's having to take it upon himself to have these long shots to create. He's still running around trying to do everything on his own, which can be detrimental, but there's no other option. So you mentioned he recreated 9 chances, or he created 9 chances. I couldn't tell you. I could, thinking back at the game, I couldn't tell you which ones of those were clear cut, because I just don't think. We're just not taking advantage of them. I think Garnacho wasn't great today. I actually don't think Anthony was great at all. Off the ball, Anthony was okay. On the ball, from what I can remember of him, apart from the goal, was just giving the ball away constantly, and typical, just cutting in on his left foot, no right foot impact whatsoever. So we just need better attackers. We need better players around Bruno. He has been great. He scored in his last few games, but he can't do it all on his own.
No, he can't carry the whole team, can he?
And actually, Freddie, I'll take on that point to continue with Han, because I was always saying it to someone there earlier. It's on the Glazers, and I'm not trying to refer back to the whole Glazer shtick, but when you look back at the summer, Ten Hag wanted both Kane and Hyland, or someone of that variety, where you have one experienced striker, one young striker who's hungry, who wants to come in. He got his hungry young striker, but he didn't get that experienced striker that he could get the young player to feed off of. Hyland had to go on his own. You look at I only saw it there earlier. It was like 42 goals in all competitions Kane has scored for Bayern Munich. Look, fair enough, you could talk about the quality of the squad that Bayern Munich have around them. But when you have someone like Kane scoring for fun, 42 goals in all competitions, and he's proven he can do that in the Premier League as well, on top of that. So for Glazers not to at least attempt to go in for Kane, knowing he was the number 1 target in hindsight for Erik ten Hag, it's inexcusable, because when you put up the chances that Bruno has just created in the last 3 games alone, and you just look at the big chances created for Bruno across the board, someone like Kane knocks away 90% of those big chances. Yeah. So it's inexcusable that we didn't go for someone at least somewhat experienced as much as Kane, because Highland, don't get me wrong, when he's had the service, he's actually made advantage of it, and he's actually done a decent job of it. He scored from what now we'll revert to the term when he gets the service, because anytime he drops a stinker, you have to look around at the bigger picture. No one's giving the ball to him. So when he gets service, he's fantastic, one of the best players on the pitch. So like the problem is, who would you bring in like in that aspect of okay, Munich signed Kane, who are you bringing in then instead? And that's the problem where we didn't have anyone as a second experienced striker to bring in. So like the fact we didn't even attempt to go for Kane in the first place, it just speaks volumes as well.
Darragh, you're absolutely right. Look, the biggest issue in recent years, in my opinion, has been player recruitment, and it's just showing. I mean, if you look at bar Bruno, I'd hazard a guess that the players who played the most consecutive games this season have been Garnacho and Mainu since he's returned from injury. Now, the problem is when you have 18, 19-year-olds, you are going to have that inconsistency. They haven't got that experience. They haven't got that quality to sort of, not yet or very rarely where they can, when does a teenager score 20, 25 goals? It just doesn't happen. So, if two of your front three at the infancy of their career, this isn't a shock really. And then it goes, you can link it to the prior point on Stu, him bringing off Mainu, him bringing off Højlund. When you're a youth player, effectively, I mean, I know Højlund's a little bit older, but you haven't got that natural fitness, so we don't know what's going on. Because if he keeps these players on, they get injured. Look at the bench. Look how many injuries we've got. There's a wider issue here than this subs. Ten Hag's made this sub that we've not won. It goes back to player recruitment. It goes back to the injuries that we've had this season, and there's 101 reasons why we can't put the ball in the back of the net at the minute. And, Bruno's doing all he can, but unfortunately, we just haven't got the right profile of player, the right experience of player, and the right quality of player.
Massively, because even with Højlund, I feel time to come, he will come good, obviously. He will want to when you're paying 70 million from. Even when you watch weekly, when you watch him in the academy, he has the profile to be a big player in time to come. Whether he comes to fruition or not, another issue. But you need that experienced striker to come in, and fair enough, it might hamper their player development and progress to an extent. But otherwise, how are the players themselves going to develop? Because sure, you can learn off of the maturity and experience of, let's say, someone like Casemiro or something like that. But you need an experienced striker to develop themselves in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think we're going to move on to ratings, really. It's very difficult. I feel like I say this every time. I'm not on so often these days, but it's always quite negative and difficult to find the positives. So maybe we'll talk about Kobbie Mainoo, actually, and what he brings to the team. I'll come to you first on this, Darragh. So 96 pass accuracy, 96%, 27 out of 28 passes completed, 2 dribbles completed, 2 interceptions, 2 tackles, 1 key pass, and of course then he was hooked. But yeah, your opinion on him. I haven't spoken to you about him on his season as a whole and what he brings to this midfield.
I mean, you play those stats from today alone, and you begin to question. Okay, fair enough. Whatever the amount of games we're playing, you see those stats, and you're thinking, why is he hooked? Because someone who drops those kind of stats should not be being taken off. They should be like I've always said with Kobbie Mainoo, it looks like he just plays the simple passes, basic football, just something that needs to be on a whole a cultural reset. Play the basic football. Don't be playing the silly passes. Don't be hoofing it halfway across the pitch. Just keep to the basics, simple passes. If you see a man free, you go for that man. It was just simple from Kobbie Mainoo the whole day, and it's what he's known to do. And in my opinion, that's my view of him anyway. But it's hard to say that an 18-year-old is the glue of our midfield because we can't be putting that much pressure on him. So it's kind of there is it the kind of going back to what Stu mentioned earlier, is it the mentality of some of the players that we can't even I suppose the best way to describe it would be the fact that you're looking at it thinking the midfield is the glue of any team, basically. So you kind of think, why are we relying on an 18-year-old? Why can't someone like Christian Eriksen take up the mantle and go into duels? Now, fair enough, he won duel today. And I think that speaks volumes, really. Like, the man never puts in for a challenge, so it doesn't really surprise me either that he can't be the full mantle. Like, you look at this midfield and you kind of think, where do you start? Because obviously you keep Maido in the team, but it's kind of a case of Maido and Bruno, you obviously keep them. Do you just spin off everyone else and build around the two of them in the midfield?
I'd keep Mountain as well, to be honest. I do like him when he comes on, and I do think he gives us that kind of outlet. I think that we've needed a Bruno replacement, whether they're like for like or not. You know, they're both very different number 10s, and I think that he's just had a very injury-plagued season, not been given a fair crack of the whip. But I understand people's frustration on him.
Oh,
you know,
completely understandable, right? No, because I was going to say, like, I suppose, like, Mount, you can't really judge him too much simply because of the amount of injuries he's had. But then you have the other side of the coin saying, why if we pay 55 million for him if he's going to be injured then all the time and only making impact off the bench, you know? It's like, as much as it says that Ten Hag wanted Mount, you kind of have to question, is this another commercial signing as well? Like, especially the way they present them, like.
There's a couple of things with Mount, isn't there? I mean, what Darragh says about Mainoo's absolutely spot on. The way that he plays, he's out there on his own. I think Trevor's actually made a reasonable point for once, which I can't quite get behind. I'm really surprised.
It's a first for everything.
I know. Well done, Trev. But I think somebody like Polinia to sit alongside Mason Mount would allow Mino that extra freedom that he needs, and when he does have the freedom, his calmness, his actual stability on the ball, and his ability on the ball is something I believe way above what Eriksen's providing at the moment. Which is great. As for Mason Mount, my personal opinion is I think he's a weak person. I think he's a weak mentally because to have so many, he's one of those players, unfortunately, that's got to be 100% fit, otherwise he won't take the pitch. And that's completely unacceptable in the modern game, and you just can't have that. So it's one of those. Guys, I've got a 50th birthday tonight, so if you don't mind, I'll skip the player ratings. Is that all right, lads?
Yeah, of course. It's good to have you on. I was about to say to you, you go whenever you need to do.
Of course, it's not my 50th. That's a good 10 or 15 years. But no, there's a close group of us, and so we've got that.
29 years away, I thought. Isn't it?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, I look at
You wait, honestly, guys. When he has a shave, you wouldn't believe it. Honestly, it gets ID'd left, right, and centre. Right. Thanks.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, have a great evening.
Good to see you, mate.
To be with you guys. Apologies for dipping out early, but thank you for hosting, Mark, and I'll see you guys. When are we next on, buddy, for hosting?
Probably the next review. I would have thought. I don't even know, man. I've so fallen out of love with football recently. I don't know when our next fixture is, but the next review will say
whenever
that might be.
Whenever it is, me and Mark, and hopefully Freddie and Darragh will be on his screens. Take care, everyone. See you, boys.
Hey,
Bye.
Look at that. Sean saying he doesn't look a day over 49. How nice. See, we're a lovely lot, and we love each other, and that's what it's all about. We get each other through this dreadful season. Oh, bollocks. I've been pressing buttons all over the place, and now I've got things all over the place. Right. Let's go through a review. Let's make it quick. Andre and Anna, I come to you, Freddie.
Do you know what I thought he actually had before the penalty? I thought he was having a decent game. I think he made some really good quality saves in the first half. But it's the second mistake in 2 games, and when you're a goalie, mistakes inevitably lead to goals. So that's going to pull you down a few notches, unfortunately. Are we doing ratings, Mark?
Yes, please.
I'd have to give him a 5 just for that. He's cost us 2 points today.
So yeah, and if he'd have saved the penalty, of course he would have been bumped up. If he hadn't given the penalty, I can see
it was just so unnecessary.
Yeah, I can see why you brought him down so much. I thought he was that good throughout the whole game. Barring that thing, I would have given him a 7. But I can see why you'd given him a 5. Because of what's happened. I get it.
No, I'll be honest with you. He would have been contender for man of the match for me with Bruno.
Yeah, 100%.
I can't. It's the same thing happened last week. Led to a goal with his sloppy pass. And I like him. I think he's got a lot to offer, but it's cost us the game. It's cost us the game.
And it's happened a few times this season, isn't it? Everyone still in the comments. Thank you again. Make sure you like and subscribing. Get your views and ratings in as well. Keen here, I believe. Anana with a 6. I think that's fair. I understand Freddie's 5.
I was going to say, you could nearly say Onana was the hero and the villain today, because hero for so many saves, but again, that, like, even my brother texted me. My brother's a Liverpool fan. As soon as the penalty was given,
don't talk to him ever again.
I'm sorry.
I can't help that part. But look, he did. As soon as the penalty was given, I just got the text straight away from him about time Onana got the penalty given against him, and I goes, well, I can't say much. I saw it firsthand against Wolves the first game of the season. I was there and I saw it, and I goes, oh no, I just saw it straight away, and I goes, this is not good.
Well, they've been waiting for that, the refs, haven't they, all season?
Honestly,
wait for it to do the same. They've had their finger, that VAR's had his finger on the button, just penalty before you even.
Boys, this is a good one. Rubbing your hands together. This is like Wolves.
Exactly.
This is what we've been waiting for.
Oh no, because honestly, they actually mentioned it on the Premier Sports here in Ireland. As he was going over to the VAR screen, the ref or the commentators actually made the point that referees and VAR have been waiting for something like this since the moment.
Yeah, I heard that. I think I was watching the same stream as you, buddy. Right, let's make this a little bit quicker. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Darragh, over to you, please, buddy.
It's a hard one. Like, for the most part, he was trying to go far. Like, I'd give him a 5 because, it's more because he wasn't as impactful as, even Keane saying 5 as well. Like, for me, he wasn't outstanding, but he didn't do much, should I say? Because he didn't make an impact to actually give him a fair rating, really.
Yeah, he didn't. Not his best game. I think both fullbacks were non-existent today, and I think that was part of the problem, to be honest with you.
I would have said same for Dallo, if I'm honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you want to do Dallo as well while we're here? Go on.
Yeah, no, because I'll be honest, I would have given them both about 5, 6 tops, because neither of them actually had much of an impact in the game, because for the most part, they were actually kind of kept going with the fact that Burnley had their 2 wingers going straight in at them. So,
just
the way it was.
Yeah, me too. All right, Freddie, Maguire and Casemiro, then, please.
I'll give him 6s. I think Maguire made quite a few good tackles. He has been good. Maybe
he's
a 6.5.
Consistently our best player for a while, to be honest. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 others. Bruno, him, Anana, I would say, and that says a lot about the rest of the team, to be honest.
Yeah, when he gets it right, Maguire it looks good and it pays off. He's very front-footed. The problem is he can go through spells when he makes mistakes. He can go with his foot in, misses the ball, and then he's too slow to recover. So, thankfully, it's paying off at the minute. I mean, he has also got Casemiro as his partner, who's not centre back, so he's doing well in that regard. And the team are as well, because that does impacts things like the midfield as well. And Casemiro is also so front footed. The amount of times he just goes in on the slide. So look, it's a makeshift defence. The goal was a penalty, so otherwise it would have been a clean sheet. So I'll give him 6.5s. I've set the benchmark quite low with Onana, so I'm going to have to stick to not too far from that.
No, I suppose, Freddie, you make a point there, though, about Casemiro and Maguire both being so front-footed. Like, you kind of have to think they're both good readers of the game. They're able to read the attackers quite well, that they can defend against them. But the problem is, you put a ball over the 2 of them, and you have a pacey striker on top of it, they're not going to catch them. That's the problem. And I like what Maguire's been able to do with how he's been able to transform himself to adapt to the Ten Hag system, because I said it from the start that Ten Hag system when he first came to the club, at the very least anyway, wasn't suited to Maguire, because trying to play out from the back, trying to play everything at a higher pace, Maguire just slowed it down straight away. So I suppose he's adapted himself that a little bit more.
He has.
But,
he's done well. He's done well with that, and that's a very good point. I think everyone at the time, obviously, he was going through a really poor run of form, was writing him off. And I think actually he's still not quite suited to how Ten Hag wants to play, but he's really sort of had to change, step up, and he's done well. I don't care what anyone says. I think he's been good. Yeah,
he has. Now, look, as you know, I've not been on for a few months, and we've gone through a bit of a dodgy spell. But I think this is the problem with the system.
Probably why we're losing, Freddie, because you know
it is.
I've got to put two and two together.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like the reverse of you season before last. It's the reverse. It's a weird system because Ten Hag obviously wants to play high transition football. So the front players, the midfield, are pushing so far up, especially when the opposition has the ball in their half. We're closing down every opportunity. But with your Maguire, because of the injuries at the back, with your Maguires and now Casemiro, the defence has to drop deep because they just, quite frankly, there's no pace there, and
then we've got
one ball over the top and they're just exposed.
And
then you're left with huge gaps. And then that's why it's so easy to just walk through the midfield because of that space in between defence and the midfield. So it's a difficult one because, you know, Maguire, you pump the balls in the box. Maguire looks amazing. You can just head them all out, and we're playing a bit deeper, but systematically.
He's our best player aerially, actually. And I think Keane made a good point. He's probably our better, or at least one of our better...
ball playing,
I think he's our best defensive header. I mean, I actually think Casemiro is probably our best attacking header. I mean, and what I mean by that is, Maguire will get his head on everything. It's a bit like a Fellaini, like heads like glue when a corner comes in, of course. But whereas most, if say we've got an attacking corner, how many of those are actually on target? Whereas Casemiro, I actually think he's our best attacking header. He always gets on the ball on the box, and it's usually on target. So, from an area point of view, they're quite good defensively. They complement each other. But I think, and it's not a point for now. You could talk about it for a whole of the show. But I think that the profile of our defence at the minute is a contributing factor as to why the midfield's struggling and the whole system.
Yeah, absolutely right. Right, let's do the midfield very, very quickly, Darragh. So, Mainu, Bruno, and Eriksen, please.
Eriksen, I was going to be short and sweet. I'll keep it at 4 because, to me, compare him to playing against Sheffield United. The whole team were minimum 7s because they actually performed the way they should be playing. And for the first 15-20 minutes, it actually looked like the whole team was going to be another Sheffield United, where they were going to actually be very good in and out of possession. They fell away after that. What's new there? So Eriksen, I'll give a 4. Bruno, Trevor giving it 2 there. That nearly would be fair as well.
Probably a bit low, but
we'll keep it at 4. We'll keep it fair. I actually kind of agree with Trevor's other 2. Mainu 7, Bruno 8, because Mainu was like I was making the point earlier. Mainu was doing absolutely fantastic before he got hooked, and we talked about how many games are being played, how many minutes he's playing at such a young age, trying to manage his fitness and everything. It's one of those where you kind of think you have to kind of question the line of continuing to let him play because he's making that much of an impact, or you hook him off because of the fact you're trying to manage his fitness. It's a catch-22, I suppose. Given the amount of games we've been trying to squeeze in with the 120 minutes, I don't know if he got hooked after, 75 minutes, I think it was in Wembley. But he played the full 90, as far as I'm aware, off the top of my head anyway. He played the full 90 last week, or Wednesday. I know,
off the top of your head, that's very, very good, Darragh. Don't doubt yourself. Very, very good.
Well, I'm guessing here, though, at this point, let's be honest. But,
right, so it's not true.
We can't prove otherwise. We can't prove otherwise, mate, because we haven't got it in front of us. So
don't worry.
Whatever you say.
Someone can make sure of that in the comments. But look, I suppose when you're trying to manage the match fitness as well, it's a hard one because he's so influential to the team, but you have to draw the line somewhere. And then, of course, we've made the point earlier about Bruno and the chances he's created. He's been dragging this team, even before Wembley, the last couple of games before Wembley, he was dragging that team over the line to try and get results. Wembley, Sheffield United had 2 captains' performances, in my opinion, because, again, trying to drag the team over the line. And, again, he was trying to drag us over the line again now today. And we couldn't do anything with it. Like, so, and I think it's a fair, on the simple basis, you're trying to say he was the one creating all the chances. He was trying to do everything for the team, and no one was getting on the end of them.
Absolutely right. I was going to say earlier, actually, you just reminded me, it's a shame Bruno wasn't this good when Højlund was back in left, right and centre. It seems to be at the wrong times for them both. And shame, because we might see some more goals and definitely some more wins. But anyway, let's move on to the front three then. So, over to you, Freddie. Garnacho, Anthony and Højlund.
I'm just going to give flat 6s across the board. I think they're quite sloppy. I mean, Anthony took his goal well. I think I touched upon it earlier.
Great finish,
Good finish. I think off the ball, he had a good game. I think that's where his strengths lie. Off the ball, he's good at closing down. He's quite aggressive. He's quite tenacious. On the ball, not good enough. And if we want to progress as a club, we need an upgrade, quite frankly, in that area. He's just not good enough. Højlund, very sympathetic again today. No service. Unfortunate timing for the sub. Like you said, good cross in the box. He may have got on the end of it minutes after he came off.
I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Yeah.
No, I will make one point though. Like, as much as Højlund didn't get service today, there was one opportunity. He was in on goal. He could have taken the shot off at the very least, but he tried squaring it off, and who was there? Only Wan-Bissaka. So, I mean, the problem is...
I don't remember that one. No, I don't remember that one.
He tried squaring it to Wan-Bissaka, and I'm there like, you had a chance to take it.
I do remember that one, yeah.
Do you know what? And Garnacho had a few of them. They just... The quality wasn't... There was no end product today, and it was sort of... When they should have shot, they passed. When they should have passed, they shot. It was just a bit calamitous today, so... 6 across the board. Very unfortunate. I think maybe another day would have grabbed a few.
I think that's fair. We're not going to bother doing the subs today, guys. It doesn't warrant it. And to be honest with you, it's painful, isn't it? And I just want to see the end of the season, to be honest. But anyway, listen.
Well, one thing I will say before you finish, I guarantee you that this Onana incident would have more talk in the media. More than Salah and Klopp today, which I found hilarious. If that was Rashford, Ten Hag, that would have blown up, and everyone would be talking about that for the next 2 weeks. So it'd be interesting to see how much coverage that gets and how much coverage we get today.
Do you know what, Trevor? You're absolutely right, Freddie. Do you know what, Trevor? I know I took the piss out of you earlier, but I never meant it. I think you speak sense all the time, and for this alone, you're more than welcome to come back next time. Unfortunate for Darragh, but there we go. Right. We're going to wrap up there, guys. Thanks to everyone today for joining in. It's been as fun as always, even though the result was obviously really shit. Darragh, Freddie, thank you so much for joining me today. Really, really appreciate it. Obviously, we'll probably have a few more shows. Only a couple of games to go now, really, isn't it? 3 or 4. So we'll have to see how we wrap up the end of the season. Then, of course, we've got the big one, which doesn't really fill me with confidence at all in the FA Cup. But as I said, boys, thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.